Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So it has been a while. I wanted to sit down and just fill you in on everything that's been going on, talk to you about where I am at this moment in life, and also talk about what I'd like to see happen for this channel and for future content. Okay, so right off the bat, obviously, I think you've noticed I've been uploading less frequently, and that started, I would say, last summer. So to give you some context, as you guys know, I built my entire audience on really Stitch Fix unboxings, which quickly segued into an interest in focusing on natural fibers as I flipped synthetics out of my closet and focused on, beautiful things like cottons, linens, cashmeres, and silks. Still with a heavy emphasis on budget-friendly items you could find at places like Target and Old Navy. And then from there, I just started feeling compelled in my content and also my own closet to really step away from fast fashion and start, investing more in some brands that had a very high level of ethics when it came to the production of their clothes, most especially very good treatment of the people making their clothes. When I made that shift, I was right at about 10,000 subscribers. The viewership I thought was great. I was really enjoying, I wouldn't say like a windfall, but what I was getting monthly from revenue ads and also commissions was pretty good. It was a couple $100s a month. But once I decided to stop focusing on fast fashion and really started focusing on those elevated brands at a rate of consumption that made sense for our household and our household economics. In other words, not doing massive hauls of like 10 to 20 pieces, instead maybe focusing on just one piece or maybe 2 or 3 pieces. That's when I started to see my numbers just really fall off. And to be honest, it wasn't that much of a shocker because I knew making that abrupt of a switch was going to, affect my views for sure. And also, well, I'd say just overall the views, right? So while I was accepting that, I was also starting to move away from wanting to, again, order, let's say 10 things, knowing in my mind I wasn't going to keep them. I was only going to keep, let's say 1 or 2 things. Because obviously when it comes to promoting smaller brands, smaller businesses, I became aware of how that might impact their economics and their, bottom line month to month. And I just didn't feel comfortable doing that because, again, it's that's kind of a jerk thing to do to order 10 things from a small business and then return 9 of them. That just didn't seem right to me. And at that point also what was happening with me was because I was really pulling back from over consumerism, over consumption, and really trying hard just to be grateful for what I had in my closet. I think I said a number of times, my dream no longer became to have the big Pinterest closet. I wanted a modest closet just filled with things I absolutely loved. So to me, less was definitely more. That was not translating in terms of gaining viewership at all. Now, even saying that, some of you have been so faithful in watching every video, commenting, and I thank you so much for that. That really meant the world to me. But at the end of the day, I mean, YouTube is a business, right? The entire intention, at least for me, behind having a channel was not only to talk about fashion, to promote really great brands. Obviously, I love styling clothes, but you also want to make money from it, especially given how much time and energy goes into one video. I can tell you to make a 10 to 12 minute video on the back end will take me anywhere between 8 to 12 hours, which is fine when you're trying to build your channel, but there comes a point where you have to realistically ask yourself, is this worth the time and energy for very little return? And on one half, it's like, well, no, that's like when you push through and you keep going and you're so close to making it, which I think I kept doing. But then as I was seeing my numbers get lower and lower and lower, and it just felt like it was taking so much time to make a video. And I used to love making the video from start to finish. It started to become arduous. I was struggling to even just articulate myself in front of the camera. So again, maybe to get a 12-minute video to actually film it would take me, let's say, 15 minutes when I was on it. When I started struggling, it might take me an hour sometimes just to spit out 12 minutes worth of good content. And that was really frustrating. The other thing that started happening was, again, as I stopped consuming a lot of product, it was weird because I was cool with my decision, but then I started, and I hate to say this, but I'll just be totally honest, I started to get jealous of other content creators who were kind of like in my same class, if you will, in terms of subscribers and view counts. But I would see them doing these videos where it was like, they're showcasing maybe $1,000 worth of merchandise or a dress from a brand that I know on average charges like $600 to $700 for that garment, and they'd have maybe 3 pieces. And so I just started thinking, like, does nobody else operate under normal household economics like I do? And we don't have debt. Like, we have a mortgage and car payments, but we don't have credit card debt. We don't have student loan debt. We're in a great financial position, but that doesn't mean that I can just spend like crazy. And when I saw other people seeming to spend like crazy, it made me crazy with jealousy. It did. Like I said, I hate to say that, but I'm being honest. So all these things combined created like the perfect storm, because as I've mentioned before, my husband and I also live in the mountains, and I became just really into being outside. I've always enjoyed being outside and walking, but I started really liking being outside and walking very long distances. So initially it maybe started out as like 3 to 4 miles a day I would walk. That would increase to maybe 5 miles. And then I got super into hiking. Like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm going to insert some pictures. These are pictures I've taken just on rando hikes that start from me walking out my front door. My husband and I live in the middle of the national forest. This is like millions upon millions of acres of playland for me. So I started looking at how I was investing my time. And it was like, okay, you have a decision to make. You can continue to invest 8 to 12 hours into your YouTube channel, which is not producing any results. I shouldn't say any, but aren't producing the results I think that would warrant an investment of time like that. Simultaneously, I lost 2 sponsorships. So it was like these doors kept closing. And I'm a Christian, and those of you that are also Christians can relate to what I'm about to say, but when you are doing something that no longer yields results, at some point the light bulb goes off, like, is God closing this door? And I think I fought that for a long time, and finally it was like, all right, God, like, I get it now. You are closing this door. And at the time, it was a hard pill to swallow because I really wanted this YouTube channel to take off. I wanted this to be substantial income for our household. You know, I wanted everything that comes along with it, but I started to realize I didn't want to invest the time into it. I wasn't willing to sacrifice the time into it. And again, just struggling with issues of jealousy was putting me into a really negative space where it was like, it is time to just stop and step away and embrace this other thing that God is leading me into, which for me was just being outside, being quiet, just surrounding myself in creation and God's presence and peace of mind. And it was like the most soul satisfying thing I have ever done. So there's that component. To give you a life update, a month ago today, I got a call at 5:30 in the morning from my husband who had just started his shift. He literally walked in the door and was fired. It was the most brutal thing I've ever seen. My husband is an extremely hard worker. He has put in 70, sometimes 80-hour work weeks. He has worked on the weekend. He's salaried, so it's not like, or he was salaried, so it's not like he was hourly and getting paid overtime. He was just doing that because he's a hard worker and he really liked his job and the people he worked with. And some unfortunate stuff went down and he was terminated with no severance, no warning, nothing. So that income evaporated like that. At that time, I thought I'd really like to start just like documenting this on YouTube, not like as a scandal thing, but just to weekly vlog in the hopes of relating to other people going through difficult times and just create this really positive yet authentic and honest environment where we can just chat about life and its challenges and our ups and our downs. And at the time I didn't do it, and in hindsight I'm glad I didn't, because the past month has actually been, with few exceptions, but for the most part, it's really been an enjoyable time for my husband and I just to reconnect. We are with each other all day long. We have never had this kind of time to spend with one another. And I just felt like, as odd as this sounds, given the circumstances, God was giving us this beautiful gift of time. And what I started realizing in this process is there's always a way to make money, right? It might not be your favorite way. It might not be a super lucrative way, but you can always kind of hard scrabble your way into making money, but you can never make more time. Once time is done, it's done. And so that's why I didn't start filming a month ago. I just wanted to relish my time with my husband. We're having a lot of fun together, surprisingly, and by the grace of God, and I prayed for this, there was peace on this house, there was joy on this house, there was hope on this house, and it was just like a really, and it still is, a really great space. So between that and me being outside, I was like in my happy place despite all this chaos going on. Now, in the interim, I have been working about 30 hours a week for a Big 10 company. I'm doing social media content creation for them, and also curating these beautiful, cohesive assortments of fashion products, beauty products, lifestyle products, and home products, and I love it. Unfortunately, that company now, their view is shifting more towards a focus on AI. And so some of the things they're having me do right now are pretty tedious. But I'm trying to find fun opportunities to create interesting projects to work on so that everything isn't AI focused and really tedious and monotonous. So I'm telling you guys all these things because what I want to do moving forward is vlog weekly, because there's another thing that's coming up that I haven't really acknowledged. I've kind of downplayed it or just ignored questions about my age, because in the past, again, if I'm being honest, I would be embarrassed to tell someone how old I am. But it dawned on me recently that I think that's one of my greatest assets, and it's something that makes me unique, because I am going to be 47 this year. I know, I am 3 years to turning 50, which is crazy. And I know I don't look that old. I don't look that age, I should say. I certainly don't feel that age. I don't think I act that age. I'm pretty youthful, I think, in how I look and how I act and how I feel. And so I think what I'd like to do, I'm thinking we're just gonna chronicle the countdown to age 50, number one. So I'm gonna be talking about skincare, diet, lifestyle, exercise. I'd also like to start showing you guys a little bit of the hiking that I do. Not a ton. I know that sounds strange, but I'm like super guarded about my hiking because it's such a special time for me. I don't want to turn it into a filming thing because I know me. I'm going to be looking at the footage and then trying to set up shots, and that is not what I want to turn it into. But I think incrementally I can just say like, hey, here's the view from where I am. And I think that'd be fun for you. But most importantly, I want to use this channel as an opportunity to chronicle this time in my husband and I's life. Now, he's not going to be on camera because he can't stand being on camera, but I'd like to check in with you guys once a week and say, hey, here's how his job search is going, and even my job search as I look to maybe shift into taking on additional hours or additional projects. But I think it'd be really interesting just to share with you guys, you know, an honest representation of what it looks like when there's an unexpected, really trauma that happens, because the way he lost his job was traumatic. It was traumatic. When I say brutal, I mean brutal the way they handled it. And there's a lot that goes into that, right? Like there's a lot of mental and emotional stuff that goes into it. There's household economics. There's concerns about finances. Now you have to be super careful about a budget. And again, without getting into like overshare, I'd like to be honest about that because I gotta tell you, like, I'm so tired of looking at social media, and I don't look at it a lot, believe me. That's one thing I'm really good at, is I don't scroll aimlessly. I don't watch hours of YouTube videos. I'm pretty well protected. I protect myself from overconsumption of social media. However, that being said, it still kind of like seeps in. And I'm tired of seeing how everybody's life is perfect. Honest to God, I understand like the aesthetically pleasing photo. And I understand that, you know, of course, you don't want to be like unloading yourself and all your negativity like bleh, in front of the camera, because that's not good either. But there's just the place where I'm at right now is just wanting and desiring authenticity and honesty. And I think, again, being honest, that's something I've struggled with, hiding behind, even admitting my age because I was embarrassed. Maybe, you know, being jealous of other people. I don't know, just maybe representing myself a certain way that wasn't necessarily true, or making it seem like, yeah, I've got it all together and nothing affects me. I don't know if I was doing that, but I think in my mind, that's the image I wanted to project. And again, I have no intention of just like, I'm going to load all my toxic negative thoughts on the camera. No, what I'm going to do is share with you guys how I'm using this time as a way to, first and foremost, rely on my faith to get through it. Yeah, just getting into like the nitty gritty. Like, what does it feel like to go through a situation like this? Because at the end of the day, not only do I want to be, you know, a source of positive motivation for you, if you're going through something similar like this, I want this to be another way that I'm keeping myself motivated in a way that's positive. I want to focus on the good, not the bad. I want to celebrate the victories, not dwell or wallow in the challenges. And believe me, there are good days and there are bad days. Praise the Lord, we've had far more good days than bad days, but those days do come when life just seems overwhelming. In fact, I'm filming this on a Sunday. Yesterday, I was on the phone with my parents just in tears, like, I don't know what's happening. Like, what is God doing? Like, even knowing the promises he has for me and being in my Bible every single day and just speaking those promises over my life. Still, life is life. And you have those Peter moments where you're just like sinking as you're walking on the water towards the Lord. And so I just want this to become like a safe and honest place for us to just talk about those challenges and work through them. And most importantly, I want this to be a chronicle for us all to look back on, whether it's in a month, in 6 months, in 3 years, whatever, and just say, wow, like, here's where we started and here's where we are now. Look at all the ways that God was working through this. Look at all the doors he opened. You know, let's celebrate them. Look at all the doors he closed. Look at all the ways he provided. Look at the ways you made it through those challenges, because we are going to get through this, as you will too if you are experiencing a challenging time in your life. So this video has probably gone on for quite a bit. If you're still hanging around, I thank you for it. But that is my goal moving forward. Like I said, just really wanted to reconnect with you guys, fill you in on what's going on, and just kind of take it from there. So yeah, as always, thank you guys so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you're having a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.